The big billionaire bailout passed over the weekend. Perfect timing. Everybody is out enjoying their holiday weekend. And just like Donald Trump said it was going to happen, it happened. All of the Republicans who were saying that they weren't going to, sign this bill, they went ahead and signed it. The House passed a horrible version. It moved to the Senate. The Senate made it actually worse, and more people were being kicked off of Medicaid. And then they went it back to the House, and the House is like, well, we're not going to sign that thing. And then immediately they all sign it. It gets passed and put on Donald Trump's desk, and he signed it for the big 4th of July celebration. And the billionaires are super happy about it. Anyway, we got a couple of stories on it. Let's take a look and see.
Of that major tax and spending legislation that could affect the lives of every American. President Trump calls it his big, beautiful bill, and he's expected to sign it today. It includes extending his 2017 tax cuts and adding billions more for defense and border security. The Congressional Budget Office projects nearly 12 million Americans will lose Medicaid, and the deficit will increase by more than $3 trillion. So, a lot to break down. Willie James Inman is at the White House.
Oh, by the way, all you Republican budget hawks out there, the debt and the deficit, here we go. Republicans get in office, immediately start spending money. Except they're not spending money on things that you need. They're spending money on the military and fucking ICE.
For us this morning, Willie, good morning.
Good morning to you, Vlad. This Independence Day, the president will celebrate a huge win after Republicans passed a key piece of his legislative agenda, just in time to meet Trump's July 4th deadline.
President Trump celebrated the passage of the so-called Big Beautiful Bill at a rally-style event in Iowa.
There could be no better birthday present for America.
I haven't seen him without his hat in a while. You think he's having some, some follicle issues up there or what? The comb around is not combing around anymore? Sorry. Just being a little petty here.
And then the phenomenal victory we achieved just hours ago when Congress passed the one big beautiful bill to make America great again.
Every last one of those people in the audience, they're probably all from southern states, and they just voted against their interests. They have no idea that, some of them don't have any idea that they were under the Obamacare Medicaid expansion. By the way, I just want to show you this. Just take a little look-see at this. This is something else. I thought I had saved it. A lot of states don't realize that they're on, people in those states don't realize they're on Medicaid. I mean, they don't call it Medicaid. It's like Husky Care or 10 Care for Tennessee. And so many of these states don't realize that they are actually, on the Medicare expansion. And when all of these, millions and millions of dollars, I think it's somewhere around $900 million to $1 trillion in cuts over the next 10 years, which, by the way, they're not going to go into effect until after the midterms in 2026. So nobody's going to feel this pinch until after the midterm elections. They planned it that way. Of course, all of the tax cuts for the very wealthy of us, they are going to be getting their tax cuts immediately. But all of the, these social services, they're going to start getting cut much later, where you're not going to be able to see it before the election. Now, also, I want to mention this as well. Medicare, which is what you get when you retire, not Medicaid, that is going to be seeing some cuts coming sooner than you think, because the tax cuts are going into effect for the wealthy. We have this thing called pay-go, where if you don't have the money to fund it, it gets cut off. So if you're promising all these tax cuts to wealthy people, that means you're not getting revenue in, which means you're not going to be able to fund Medicare. So all the grandmas and the grandpas out there that are on Medicare right now, they're going to be seeing significant cuts coming much sooner, even before the coming primaries. So anyway, just keep that in mind while you're watching this.
his supporters that the bill delivers on many of his campaign promises.
With this bill, every major promise I made to the people of Iowa in 2024 became a promise kept.
Which includes increased spending for border security and the military, extends the 2017 Trump tax cuts, along with a temporary cut to federal taxes on tips and overtime. The bill will also add more than $3 trillion to the deficit over 10 years, according to the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office. But getting the tax and spending cut package across the finish line wasn't easy.
The yeas are 218, the nays are 214. The motion is adopted.
2 Republicans voted.
The irony, USA, USA. That first word, united. Are we united, folks? I don't think so.
With all Democrats against the bill. And as the president watched from the White House Thursday, Republican leaders touted this as a big win for President Trump's domestic agenda.
I can tell you that this bill is going to be a great thing for everybody around the country, my constituents especially.
Democrats have blasted the bill, which includes cuts to social programs such as food stamps and Medicaid. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries stalled final passage to voice his opposition during a record-setting speech lasting nearly 9 hours.
He had 2 months, as well as with Chuck Schumer, to be going on the news every day and talking about this. He's the minority leader in the House. He makes a phone call to any news organization. They are going to take him. He could have been bringing on people from rural states and just saying, this is Jim. He's on Tennessee Care, which is Medicaid, and he's going to lose his funding. Tell him, Jim. Tell him what you're going to be missing out on. You know, Chuck Schumer could have been doing the same thing, but he's too busy on his fucking book tour. These guys have been hiding for months. They've known that this was coming. They knew about the deadline. And he waits till the morning of to do a perfunctory 8-hour little speech, get his little pats on the back, and a congratulations for breaking a record for the magic minute. That's what they call it. Before a bill is passed, the opposition gets a moment to speak, and that moment can last as long as it wants to. Hell, man, if he really wanted to be baller about it, he should have talked for 24 hours, made sure that it went past the July 4th deadline, and ruined Donald Trump's little day. I mean, that would have been something. It would not have been enough because they still would have passed the damn bill. But he did his little 8.5 hours. He broke the record. And congratulations, Hakeem Jeffries, you didn't do jack shit.
Crime scene, going after the health and the safety and the well-being of the American people.
Yes.
And Mr. Speaker,
Oh,
we
yes.
want no part of it.
The president announced that he will sign the legislation.
Anyway, we've got Wall Street Journal does an interesting piece on this as well.
Adopted.
The House of Representatives passed President Trump's one big beautiful tax and spending bill.
Sort of celebrating like the biggest bill of its kind ever signed. And it's going to make this country into a rocket ship. It's going to be really great.
We're going to take you through some of the highlights of this bill. They extended basically everything that was scheduled to expire as far as the 2017 tax cuts. Back then, in President Trump's first term, Congress set all these tax cuts to expire at the end of 2025. Republicans really viewed those tax cuts as a huge success, and they made it a priority to remove that expiration date. The child tax credit has been $2,000.
By the way, what he's doing is by extending this tax cut, they're using this interesting little bit of math saying that the tax cut that is currently here, that is supposed to expire at the end of the year, that $2 trillion tax cut that he passed in 2017, that is now the baseline. It's not the baseline. The cut is down here, but they're pretending like that cut is the baseline. And that's why none of this is costing us any money, folks. I mean, you know, that would be the equivalent of President AOC going in there and go, we're going to pass the Medicare for All one-day bill. And then after that one day is over with, President says, we're going to extend that, for the next 4 years. Because, it didn't cost us anything to begin with, so it's not going to cost us anything now. And it's going to continue to not cost us anything for the next 4 years. That's the new math. That's the math that they are using, to say that this is not going to cost us anything, even though the Office of Monetary and Budget, the OMB, has already said, not the OMB, I'm sorry, the Congressional Budget Office, the the CBO says it's going to cost $3.5 trillion to our debt and our deficit.
This bill will make it $2,200 and index it to inflation. The estate tax, they increase the exemption, so that's the per person amount that you don't have to pay estate taxes on, to $15 million per person.
It was $11 million per person, so both parents could donate $22 million tax-free to their children upon dying. Now it's 15. I mean, yet again, wealthy people just passing money down. Do regular common folk get to do that? No, we don't have estates, honey. We got bills.
Republicans really disfavored electric vehicles and clean energy tax credits, and now anything purchased after September 30th is not eligible for those credits. On clean energy, the wind and solar in particular are taking a hit in this bill. They're going to be phased out faster. The state and local tax deduction has been capped at $10,000 since 2017. There was a block of Republicans from New York, New Jersey, California in the House who wouldn't vote for this bill without a much higher cap.
By the way, the $10,000, they call it SALT, the state and local tax. That was a $10,000 cap on that where, I mean, look, if you're regular common folk, man, you're not having to deal with you're not dealing, you don't get this privilege because you are not paying $10,000 in taxes to the government. But if you're a wealthy person, you are paying that. And what they're trying to do is everything that you pay over $10,000, up to $10,000 in state and local taxes, you get to take that off as a deduction from your federal taxes. And, you know, the wealthier you are, the more in state and local taxes you pay. Well, they just jumped that from $10,000 per person per year to $40,000. And that's how they got a lot of purple state representatives to bend the knee for this.
What they got was $40,000. It's a pretty significant amount. That starts phasing down once income reaches $500,000. This bill also includes some new items, particularly ones that President Trump campaigned on last year when he was running for a second term. One is no tax on tips, up to a $25,000 deduction for tips.
Yet, look, I have been in the restaurant business for a long time, waited tables, bartended. Waiting tables, the minimum wage is $2.13 an hour. It seems absolutely ridiculous that that's still what it is. It's been that way for decades. So all of these people, you know, all of these wait staff people, they tend to make the majority of their money on tips. Now, if you get paid in cash, that is much better for you. But if you're getting paid on a credit card, then that goes to your income. By the way, if you're a bartender, you don't just get, you are basically a private contractor, and you get taxed on the amount of sales, the liquor sales that you have. So your tips don't really play into it. Now, of course, if you are getting all of your tips on a credit card, that does have an effect, but it's only up to $25,000 a year. So if you are making $25,000 a year, by the way, $25,000 a year in tips, you know, maybe you can afford to live in, you know, I don't know, Nebraska or Kentucky or something like that on that kind of money. It's not a lot of money, $25,000 a year. So if it goes over that, if you happen to make more money than that in tips, that's when taxes start to kick back in. So it is not such a generous thing that, you know, that Donald Trump used to help sway some of the Republican working class out there. Hey, he's not going to have any tax on tips, not going to have any tax on Social Security. Here we go.
Workers, again, you're still going to pay payroll taxes on those, similar amounts for overtime pay. It's removing income taxes on the sort of half part of time and a half. So you'd still pay taxes on straight time, but then the additional half increment you wouldn't necessarily pay income tax on. You would get a deduction. Car loan interest for domestically produced cars, you'd be able to deduct thousands of dollars in interest. The fourth is a deduction for seniors. So the president talks about this bill making it so there's no tax on Social Security. That is not in fact the case. There's an approximation of that, an attempt to do something like that. It's a $6,000 per person deduction for people ages 65 and up. Generally, these provisions will all kick in for tax year 2025. They are temporary. They go from 2025 through 2028.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, the The big, huge tax cuts, the ones that he is extending, the ones from 2017, these are not temporary. These are going to be made permanent. This is going to be the base floor from now on. But your Social Security, your tax on tips, all that stuff ends in 2028.
We'll see how they go. We'll see who wins the 2026 and 2028 elections and how eager they are to continue those policies. Republicans were looking for ways to get more money for their priorities. So they were able to say, okay, well, we'll just take the agencies we like and favor and that Trump wants more money for, ICE, Customs and Border Protection, Homeland Security, the Defense Department, missile defense.
$175 million more dollars just for the ICE workers. That is more than most countries spend on their military, and we are spending that on a in-country military here to police American people. And if you think that ICE is bad up until this point, all the footage and the video coverage that, that I've shown and that you've seen over the last few months, you think that's bad, everything that's going on in LA, you think that's bad, it is about to get exponentially worse due to this funding. They're talking about 10,000 more ICE, Gestapo thugs. I mean, this is Donald Trump's DEI. It's fucking, the diversity, equity, inclusion for Donald Trump is, what did I said something earlier about it. It is the dipshit ex-cops and idiots. That's for Donald Trump. So we're going to be hiring a lot of people who washed out of the police department or could not make it into the corrections bureau, and now they're going to be hiring them for ICE. I guarantee you that there are at least a handful of people from January 6th who are going to now be ICE, wearing masks, jacked to the nines, with their flak jackets and their guns, looking like they're about to invade Afghanistan, except it's going to be on American soil. And it's going to be much worse than it has been so far.
Those kinds of things, and shipbuilding, and just plus those up and add up several $100 billion that are going to all of those things. One open question is what happens with the base levels of funding for those agencies, whether Congress, this Congress, or future Congresses, particularly if Democrats have some more power, start carving back some of the annual.
Like he's saying there is a distinct possibility that if we do get a flip of the House or the Senate or both in 2026, and we get a flip of the presidency in 2028, we might be able to claw back some of those cuts to SNAP, which, by the way, will go into effect in 2026. But we might be able to claw some of it back, through the federal legislature. But ICE, that's a completely different story. ICE is not some old world thing that we've had in our government, for decades or a century. We started ICE through the Department of Homeland Security right after 9/11. It's amazing how many horrible government agencies that were formed after 9/11. And ICE is one of them. So, years ago, we used to talk about, abolishing ICE. We should have absolutely abolished ICE. But now that it's still here and it's getting more and more funding, you are going to continue to see it's going to be much more difficult to get rid of them. The longer they stay, the more hooked into our system they're going to be. And hiring more of them and building more facilities for them with beds to fill with immigrants. You think they're not going to use it? They don't build these things to not use. And maybe the next administration, if it is like somebody like AOC, maybe we'll cut the funding, but those mechanisms will still be in place and it will be much harder to get rid of. So clawing back some of the Medicaid cuts, some of the food stamp cuts, some of the social services and what have you, the Weather Service and, USAID will probably be able to claw that stuff back in a few years. But this is not going to go away.
For those agencies.
This dangerous and extreme Republican budget will result in Americans losing their lives.
And the biggest point of
He is so goddamn uncharismatic. Here, take a look at him. This is him right here. Before he did his 8-hour speech, looking like a little kid about to go play t-ball. They have absolutely no idea how to message. I mean, look at this guy. He looks like a complete fucking moron. Oh, I'm about to go out there and take a bat, to this bill. By the way, it didn't work. Didn't fucking work. The bill got passed. Bat and all. Can you say anything else here?
is Medicaid, which is the federal state health insurance program largely for low-income people. One of the things they did is create work requirements. So able-bodied people will have to start looking for work or having work in order to be able to get Medicaid.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. 2/3 of the people who are on Medicaid already work. They already have jobs. They're working at places like Walmart and Target, and they barely make a minimum wage. They do not make enough money to live. Places like Walmart literally hand you, on the day they hire you, they hand you an application for food stamps and an application for health care because they are not going to pay for that stuff. They want the government to. So they push you off onto the government so they don't have to pay it, which is why Walmart is one of the reasons why Walmart is so successful. Buying cheap goods from abroad and paying their employees the bare fucking minimum. So these people work. And then the other third of the people who are on Medicaid are either taking care of, a sickly family member, or they are sickly themselves. All of these people qualify. It's not a zero-sum game, like one person gets it and another person doesn't. You reach a certain threshold in the lack of money that you make. If you are a certain degree under the poverty level, you qualify for Medicaid. And that expansion that Obama did for the ACA or Obamacare, that expansion was offered to every state, including red states. And many red states took a while to sign on. Many of them did, but it took a while because they did not want to be perceived as agreeing with Obama. And it was a sweetheart deal. He's like, the federal government will pay 90% if you pay 10% in your state to cover all of your impoverished people to get them health care. And now that they've got health care and this big ugly ass bill is taking it away, they're going to feel it. And of course, since it's happening after 2026 and the greater effects won't be felt until 2028 or so, then all of that weight will land on the next president. Donald Trump's not going to have to deal with it. It's going to land on the doorstep of the next president. And immediately everybody's going to go, see, government doesn't work. Democrats are in there. They can't make anything work. Meanwhile, you forget the last 4 years, all of this shit was cut under Donald Trump.
Requirements, among the biggest single items saving money in this bill, that's about $326 billion.
It's not a work requirement, folks. It's a paperwork requirement. You are putting arduous tasks in front of people who are working for a living or are too old and sickly to be able to do it. You are asking your grandma to go online and sign up for this thing once every month. Reapply. You're asking people who are working for a living to stop what they're doing and once a month go reapply, and do it in triplicate. And I'm sorry, you forgot to sign this. Oh, you didn't mail it to the right place. Oh, the address wasn't quite right. Or, hey, you just crossed over the barrier. It was $16,900 and you make $17,100. You were over the barrier. I'm sorry, you can't have health care. Cheap, stingy, greedy bastards who are just getting tax cuts for the wealthy.
2034. You also see more frequent eligibility checks in Medicaid. And there are also changes to premium tax credits under the Affordable Care Act. All those changes will mean that by 2034, 11 million people will not have health insurance compared to what would happen if Congress did nothing here. Republicans were concerned about the effect of that on the providers. And so to deal with the changes they created, there's a $50 billion rural healthcare fund.
Now, that right there is fascinating. So instead of continuing to fund the Medicaid program, which is dollars that generally go to rural hospitals. Rural hospitals live in they reside in poor communities. And those poor communities oftentimes have people on Medicaid, and their Medicaid dollars get spent in that rural hospital. Well, when the Medicaid dries up, those hospitals are going to close. But instead of continuing to fund the program, Donald Trump's like, oh, okay, well, if hospitals are going to close, we're just going to spend $50 billion keeping them open. You could fund the program and to continue to work that way, or it's like what he did back in his first term, where he did big tariffs on farm goods and soybeans. And then China, who used to buy soybeans from us, they are no longer allowed to buy soybeans from us. And then all of the soybean farmers in America that grow soybeans, we don't eat a lot of soybeans in America, but Asian countries do, tofu and what have you. And that they started to get all of their soybeans from Brazil. So now all these farmers, American farmers, who were growing soybeans for this market, are now not able to grow that stuff anymore. And Donald Trump had to spend billions of dollars to bail them out, instead of not doing the fuckery with the tariffs that did not work.
This bill represents, in the text of this bill, the largest and greatest loss of health care in American history.
Democrats have highlighted in this bill is really the contrast between the effects on low-income people who are receiving benefits from Medicaid and nutrition assistance, and the tax cuts that go to some extent to tipped workers, but a lot of money is certainly going to very high-income people. So if Democrats win the House majority next year, you may see them try to delay or change those tax cuts.
This is the largest wealth transfer in American history. We are funneling money from the poor and the working class to the wealthy at rates that we have never seen before. I mean, it's been bad over the years, and since the 70s, it's in the trillions of dollars that has been stolen from poor and working class people and gone into the coffers of the most wealthy. It's been going on since the 70s. And this right here, they're just upping the stakes. It's bigger than it's ever been before. But let me show you some people who are real happy about the new big budget, because some people are going to be getting lots and lots and lots of money. This guy right here, this douche canoe, he is the head, his name is Todd Lyons, and he is the head of ICE. And he is tickled pink because they just got a $350 billion infusion for ICE and for, ICE facilities and Alligator, Auschwitz, all of that funding that was going to be covering your health care and poor people's food assistance is now going to this ridiculous idiot.
I thank you for taking time. And I will just start, Todd, with getting your perspective on how significant this bill is and these resources will be for ICE.
Hey, Griff, thanks for having me. Yeah, happy 4th of July to you and everyone on the staff. No, it's going to be great. I mean, when you think about how depleted ICE has been over the past 4 years, they last administration totally minimized the work the men and women of ICE do every day. It really.
Oh, they were getting plenty of funding, honey. They were absolutely getting funding. They're just getting a shitload more now. It's like Donald Trump saying, oh, they killed the military budget. All of the money was gone. All of the bombs were gone. Meanwhile, Joe Biden would increase the military budget every fucking year. Same thing with this. We're out of money. We're out of money. Where does the money all go? I have no idea. They're defunding us. It's ridiculous.
our resources. So you're seeing now under this administration, President Trump has made a promise to the American people to make America safe again. And a key part of that is his immigration strategy. And what Secretary Noem has done with helping craft this bill, it's been amazing. Just like you said, the detention space alone is going to be huge for us. We saw so many individuals let into the country last time without due proper vetting. We know we have so many known gotaways, known suspected terrorists. This is going to give us the tools and resources now to have the infrastructure in place to go ahead and ensure that ICE is going out and being that viable law enforcement partner we are and going after all these public safety threats. And the one
Look, I know that Fox News is, if you're watching me, then Fox News is not your bag, but you need to hear what the other side is saying so you know what you're fighting against.
main thing, Griff, that you pointed out is the manpower and hiring. We've lost so many good men and women because they just didn't feel like they were law enforcement officers anymore. When you're just not...
They're not. They're fucking Gestapo thugs wearing face masks and hiding their identity because they're ashamed of themselves, because they suck. And we know it, and they know we know it.
To do your job, it's very heartbreaking. So now we're going to have the opportunity to get men and women of ICE the backup they need. We're going to be able to retain these great individuals. So it's going to be a great win for the Department of Homeland Security.
Well, Mr. Director, it seems that morale is up. Our friend and my colleague in common, Bill Malugin, getting some reaction from some of your ICE officers saying things like this: let's go. This is long overdue and will give us the resources to ramp it up and give the American people what they voted for. This ensures that ICE is the tip of the spear to make America safe again. You know, you really...
Let's fucking go, man. Hell yeah. We're going to get rid of all the brown people because that's what the American people voted for. Donald Trump did not break 50% of the population. Yeah, he won the Electoral College and he won the popular vote over Kamala Harris. Absolutely he did, even though I could have a different conversation about that. That's, you know, don't get me started on Greg Palast and the investigation that he did when it regards to gerrymandering and all that stuff. But he did not, this is not a mandate. He won 49.5% of the vote. That is not a fucking mandate. They're acting like it's 1984 and Ronald Reagan won like 500 electoral college votes, won every state but like one. I mean, that was a fucking blowout. This right here was marginal at best. They pretend like this is a mandate, and this is what American people voted for. You know, you got people like Joe fucking Rogan out there going, I don't know, man. I mean, it seems like Donald Trump, they said they were just going to go after the criminals. I don't know if that old lady or those kids are criminals. No fucking shit. All the stuff we've been saying, for over the last year, Joe, that this is what he was going to do. And lo and behold, they have done it. And they're doing it to us. I don't need to hear any more about Joe Rogan. But anyway, ICE is super happy. They are so fucking stoked. Now, I don't know if you guys remember this. It happened a couple of days ago. This is pretty interesting. not Lisa Murkowski. Lisa Murkowski, senator from Alaska. She did a, sorry, I got an eyelash in my eye. She did a little wheeling and dealing for her state to get a couple of little goodies before, up until the bill. She's like, oh my God, I don't know about this bill, because most of the news media consider somebody like her as a moderate. She's just a fucking Republican who goes out there before something really bad is about to be voted on and goes, oh, I don't know. I mean, this doesn't look really good. Maybe I might have to oppose this. And then come vote time, she's right there to sign the fucking thing. And she did. And I got to admit, the look on her face when she is confronted by this reporter is it's pretty amazing. The pause, oh my God, chef's kiss.
Senator Paul said that that your vote was a bailout for Alaska at the expense of the rest of the country.
Oh my God.
That's what Senator Paul said.
My question was easy. Senator, we've got the...
I didn't say it, ma'am. I'm just asking for your response.
Bitch, you are caught. You were absolutely caught. And the fact that she didn't have a talking point ready to go, shows you, how shit ass of a senator she is. She sold out the other 49 states to get some Medicaid concessions for Alaska. Now, congratulations to some people in Alaska who are going to be able to have some of that Medicaid back, and they're not going to suffer the rest of the country with the severe cuts, that we're all going to face, in New York and Louisiana and Texas and, California and wherever. She's not going to have to deal with that quite as much. So great job for Alaska. Or she could have just not signed the fucking bill, and then nobody would be going through it, and you wouldn't have to make any concessions. You could stand on fucking principle. But this look of, ma'am, Rand Paul said that you sold out America. What's your response to that? And her response is, wait, what?
My response is, I have an obligation to the people of the state of Alaska. And I live up to that every single day.
I'm a capitalist every day, bud. I do this for a living every day. I'm here serving my people every day. You are a federal senator. Yeah, you represent Alaska, but you also represent the entirety of the American people. You could have easily just not voted for this and they wouldn't be going through it. But you did. You fucking voted for it. And Alaska gets a little bit of a reprieve and the rest of us get fucked. Congrats. Thanks, honey. You don't need to hear any more of this. Trust me. If you've already heard it, it's a gish gallop of a word salad that means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. Trump signed merch to woo some of the other holdouts. There's this guy, his name is, Burchett. Tim Burchett. He was bought off by a couple of signed MAGA hats and a trophy or some bullshit. He didn't get concessions for his state. He could have held out like Murkowski did, but he didn't do that. He was happy enough to, oh my God, I got to meet the president. He's like so famous and he's like so amazing and so handsome. And he's like a fucking 14-year-old groupie for a rock band. He's so excited. Watch him.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett. Just leaving the White House. Everybody say, hey, Byron Donalds, next governor of Florida.
It's great to
right
be
there
on
he
with
is.
Jimmy B.
Scott Perry, my number one man, General. I got Norman. Got Burkine over here. Got us all, baby. The president was wonderful, as always. Informative, funny. Told me he liked seeing me on TV.
He told me he liked me. He said I was real pretty. And I said, oh, thank you, Mr. President. Oh, my God. He told me he liked me. Oh, my God. I got to sign the bill now. He gave me a signed hat.
It's kind of cool. Hey, Commissioner. Look at there. Commissioner wearing purple. That's the color of royalty.
Are we getting it done?
Are we getting it done? Oh, hell yeah.
You see that? She clipped me, man. She clipped me. Did y'all see that? Anyway.
It's like the happiest day of my life.
Big day today, folks. Hopefully we get this thing worked out. The president answered all our questions, was very informative. J.D. Vance was there.
J.D.'s pants was there? Really? Did he fuck a couch?
Anyway, thank y'all so much for sending me here, Will.
Thanks so much.
Out.
Thanks for sending me here so I could get all the merch that I could shake a stick at. It is awesome. Meeting the president was like the greatest day of my life. My nipples are hard right now.
Do some great things for this country. You agree, Byron?
Say that again.
Do some great things for this country. Get this worked out.
Yeah, we get this worked out. We're going to do great things for America.
Like cutting health care.
The president, folks, is a man of his word. Says what he means what he says.
The lionest man that has ever lived. The lionest man that has ever lied. Nobody's told more lies. I have the best lies, folks. 30,000 lies every day, all day. All I ever do is lie. And I mean what I say when I lie.
I'm right. He doesn't mince too many words.
No, he does not. Not at all.
Anyway, thank y'all for sending me here again. I'm very humbled that a kid from West Hills is sitting there talking to the president, having a very good conversation. And
he told me I was
thank
pretty.
Y'all so much for sending me here.
So
I'm incredibly humbled.
What he signed for you?
Yeah, he signed a bunch of stuff. It's cool. Anyway.
Yeah, he signed a bunch of stuff. It's cool. Oh my God. I got to meet the president. He's amazing. Oh my God. I'm so excited. I just had a great time today. It was like one of the best days of my life. Oh my God. Oh my God. It was amazing. It was tremendous. Donald Trump is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I swear to God. We have a sycophantic legislature. We have a weak and do-nothing Democrat party and a bunch of just moron Republicans who are bribed with fucking MAGA hats and signed memorabilia. They sold us down the river, folks. They completely fucked us. I mean, royally and to the point, no lube and no kiss afterwards. Donald Trump has fucked us with this bill. And even though it might seem bad now, we are going to be feeling the effects of that rogering that he gave us for years to come. You're going to be seeing ICE all over your streets at all times. It's going to feel like a fucking military invasion. They increased the military budget to over $1 trillion, $1.1 trillion. And nearly $1 trillion cut from Medicaid, about $400 billion cut from food stamps. He is cutting science, research. He's cutting NOAA and the National Weather Service. He has cut everything that you need as an American citizen. Every social safety net is chopped that down to the fucking bone. And wealthy people are going to be making out like fucking bandits. Goddamn, man. And of course, they did it all on the national holiday of Independence Day. Yay, man. Don't you feel patriotic? I know I do. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like and subscribe. Keep rocking.